All right, everyone, let's get the show started. Welcome to our DevOps office hours. It's March 2nd, 2022. My name is Eric Osterman, and I'll be leading the conversation. I'm the founder and CEO of Cloud Posse. We're a DevOps accelerator, which means that we help companies own their infrastructure in record time by building it together with your teams and showing them the ropes. So if that sounds interesting, head over to cloudposse.com/quiz to get started. Again, that's cloudposse.com/quiz to get started. For those of you new to the call, the format's very informal. My goal is to get your questions answered. So feel free to unmute yourself at any time if you want to jump in and participate. If you're tuning in from our podcast or YouTube channel, you can register for these live and interactive sessions by heading over to cloudposse.com/officehours. We host these calls every week. Our call today is recorded. We'll automatically post a recording of this session to our YouTube channel. So if you enjoy the content and want to support it, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Just head over to youtube.com/cloudposse. Again, that's youtube.com/cloudposse. So with that said, we'll move into some announcements. Pretty light today, nothing super exciting. Just for those of you following the whole Elasticsearch debacle, Amazon has agreed that not only are, they've already agreed to rebranding, obviously, to OpenSearch, but that they are also now, in addition to that, going to just abandon wholeheartedly the Elasticsearch references to their product offering. I don't know what that means from the API perspective, right? When you provision OpenSearch, that's one of the options, whether you want Elastic or not. I presume that's going to stay there, since it's referring to the older version of the Elasticsearch under the permissive license, but who knows? Anyone know the answer for that for sure?
I'm not sure, but we're actually in the same situation. The fact that we found some stuff that doesn't work as the same between OpenSearch versus the Elasticsearch.
Yeah, and that's only going to continue to increase as they try and make differentiators between the products. So the other thing I found was an interesting article about sustainable architectures, and it was a microsite. No, this was not the article I was thinking about off the top of my head. This was a different one I was thinking of, but this was one of the articles I came across this past week that I thought was interesting. And it corroborated something that one of the team members, Andy, on our team was saying, how higher level architectures are more or less the same. It's at the lower levels that they're always changing. And when you go ahead and implement your architecture, build that with that in mind, that it's going to be continuously evolving as the patterns improve and mature. So that was just an interesting article. Carrie will share that in the channel. Slight update, a new iteration of the AWS Health Dashboard was announced by AWS. I haven't had a chance to take a look at it yet. Anyone have a look at that yet? All right. So Leapp, which is a product we've come to love, we recommend it to all of our customers when we provision their AWS setups with AWS SSO and federated IAM. Basically, one of the hardest things to do in AWS is actually authenticate with their services, especially if you operate in a lot of accounts and have various IDP providers. Leapp is the solution. It's an open source product that makes it a lot easier. In this rewrite, I guess they've made some improvements to that UX. I haven't yet seen it. I think we're going to have Leapp on the show pretty soon to go over the product and do a live demo, so we can address some more of those things then.
Yeah, I've been using the new UI, and it's nice. They don't have the dark theme for it yet, which was a little disappointing.
I'm sure that's probably coming soon.
And I've had a little bit of hassles with the when my sessions expire.
Yeah, that's one of the things it's supposed to handle, right? Transparently is renewing those sessions, so it's an afterthought.
Yeah, it's fine as long as you're at the computer when when the session ends, it automatically pops open the web browser to re-authenticate and reauthorize a new session. But like when that happens while I'm sleeping overnight, if I didn't stop my sessions, when it opens up the web browser and then it times out, and then I have to go back in, open up the UI, be able to actually stop the session and re-authenticate, and then it works again.
Yeah, that makes sense. So they would need some more browser control over that, and probably closing the browser window automatically if you haven't interacted with that window.
I think it actually stems from the IDP requiring like authentication every time versus caching your IDP credentials. Like when we use Google as an IDP, you can tell it only make me re-log in every so often. Some IDPs actually make you log in every time you actually try to use like their thing, or 8 hours, or something along those lines. So I think that's actually what Jeremy is getting caught up on, is that his IDP is actually saying like you need to log in again to authenticate before we can use that.
Yeah, I'm using the AWS SSO, and it's forcing you to re-authenticate. And then if you don't do it within the timeout, that time that it tries to connect, it's time limited. After a certain while, it expires that request. They do have the ability to do the browsing in the app, where it actually keeps it all in the app, or you can have it use your browser. And I have to use the browser because my password credentials are stored in a password manager that the app won't allow me to access without copy and paste. So.
All right. Next announcement. So this was something I've seen it, hadn't really looked at it lately, and somebody brought it up again, took another look at it, and it looks pretty nice, implementing one of the most common patterns these days that companies want to have, using SLOs as an indicator of whether or not something should progress between various stages, and having customizable stages. It's something that we've had to grapple with, trying to use GitHub Actions together with Argo CD, and how do you do that without having like GitHub Enterprise, which is the only way to have approval steps in between. So Keptn looks interesting to me again. I'm just curious, anybody here using it? Kick the tires on it?
I've read their marketing material, and the one thing that I would say is if they supported comparing baseline to canary releases, it would actually be much more helpful in my opinion, because then you could release like 10% of your 10% of your traffic over to a canary and see if all of your SLOs are relatively in the same area with before you decide to send more traffic to it with real production customer traffic. Like if you notice in that 10% you're using twice as much memory or something like that, then obviously you'd want to roll that back and figure out why, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, only if your SLO is broken, right, Matt?
No. That's a different story.
Okay, sorry, I'm just pouring salt on wounds. Yeah, so the one thing that would make me a little bit more excited is we predominantly provision Datadog for all of our customers. So seeing native integration with Datadog would be interesting. Looks like they do support commercial offerings like Dynatrace and open source Prometheus. So see if anyone comes around with Datadog.
Is Keptn primarily Kubernetes?
Oh, work in progress here. Yeah, Keptn is for Kubernetes, but I don't know how well it. Yeah, I don't think it's any sort of. I'm trying to blank on Netflix's solution, the very elaborate continuous delivery tool, Armory, Was the spin-off from it? Anyone? Yeah, I think this is a Kubernetes native solution.
Aside from Keptn and tools like this is interesting because I've been kind of
Spinnaker was what I was thinking. Sorry, go on.
Spinnaker, yeah. I've been homebrewing this kind of release pipeline for at home, so not at home but at work. So I'm curious what other tools are in this space aside from Keptn.
Is it like Devtron? I think there is another like platform called Devtron. No idea.
Web-based CICD platform for Kubernetes.
Yeah, it's Devtron.ai is their website, if that helps.
Yeah, it seems like it's in a similar space, at least, if not adjacent.
Yeah.
I'll add that to my list of things to check out.
What do you like about Devtron?
I haven't tried it yet, but I tried like their demo, and there was like some interesting thing like that. When you change something in the UI, they will like commit it to the repository, like so the GitOps is two-way. So it was interesting.
Well, that's like how Flux works.
Yeah, but like this is the only thing like I haven't tried it, to be honest. Like didn't try to deploy my applications using it.
Right now for the pattern that I've been kind of like hashing out, I've been using Helm test to kind of like clear the stage for the next deployment. And I think that what you offered with Clept, or what Clept is offering, is like an external consolidation point for data, right? Using SLOs as that checkpoint.
Clept, or you mean Keptn?
I'm sorry, you're right, Keptn.
Keptn. Okay. Clept.
So,
there you have it. There's the next tool for Kubernetes. It's called Clept. And people using it are called kleptos.
There's no L though.
Or call the solution klepto because it's stealing your money.
Did someone say Nat Gateway?
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So yeah, some things to check out there. I'm certainly curious. Anyone else have any other announcements for the past week?
I noticed that AWS released a new tool that will tell you the carbon footprint of your usage of their cloud, which is kind of interesting. Not that it's all that useful, but it's I thought it was an interesting new take, so you can actually see like what your entire AWS workload is actually, how it's actually affecting the environment, I guess.
Yeah, as part of the well-architected framework, they added a new pillar at reInvent, right, around sustainability. So I guess this is,
yeah, I'm sure it's tied in. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those companies that are trying to get to where they can say they're carbon neutral.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, before we move into questions, lastly, if you are curious about working with Cloud Posse at some point in the future, just head over to cloudposse.com/quiz. Take a quick survey here, just helps us get some background information to figure out, if we're a good fit for your needs at your company. So you'll be able to book a session with me at the end of this quiz, and I look forward to connecting with you. All right, questions. So we did get, well, there were some questions from last week. I didn't have Matt Calhoun on the line, so I wanted to defer to this week. So, looks like we might have lost those questions here. They were WAF related to AWS WAF, or no, sorry, AWS API Gateway, I believe. Someone's asking a question here on GitLab CI. If I'm making a job for GitLab pipelines in the GitLab-ci YAML with a script section, and I extend that first job into a second job, and the first job has its own script section, and the second job has its own script section, which of those sections will win, which will overwrite? I'm not a GitLab person, so any GitLab experts here?
What was the question again? I mean,
Yeah, so in GitLab,
it's a nuance of like the GitLab like includes using the extends block instead of like a YAML anchor or something like that. I think it's almost like a textbook interview question for a DevOps engineer, but it's targeted to GitLab specifically. I think it'll run them all in order, honestly, but there's someone else already answered out there that it was going to be the last one that went, so I'm not going to bet my life on it. So.
Oh, you can also merge them together. That's kind of cool.
Right.
Well, all the props to you. If you are going through the interviewing process and you're using office hours to help you get through that, I don't know. You have my vote. I think that's
Tim had a good idea. Just throw a bunch of echoes in there. I mean, that's why you can go ahead and delete those last failed 100 pipelines and stuff and make it, but just put it in one of those ones that, gets deleted later. So that's the tool I think we should release, is the one that kills off all your old failed pipelines so you look better.
Preserve your reputation.
Right. So
infallibility.
Anyways.
Nice. All right. So someone else asked in the Slack channel. It's a pretty common one. I feel like we've kind of exhausted this one over our recent office hours, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But Rice, if you are curious about this, do check out our YouTube channel. We've talked a lot about how to enable teams to work safely with Terraform through the dev workflows. The gist of it is, I think for what you want to do is introduce a sandbox account or multiple sandbox accounts. Allow developers to operate with impunity in there, set the guardrails on the account using service control policies and budgets and so forth, but then use CI and the Terraform CD for provisioning any of that infrastructure at higher order stages like dev staging and production. And that's where tools like M0, Spacelift, Scalar, Terraform Cloud all come in. Next question. Yeah, I'm curious about this one. We can't, I don't know anything under NDA. And if you do know something under NDA, don't say anything. But has anyone gotten any inclination of when this Aurora serverless V2 will be ready for production? Today, Amazon officially says, don't use it because when it goes live, we might just wipe every serverless database, something along those lines. I'm going to pull up the reference for that here. We had it somewhere. Oops, wrong window. No one know the status of Aurora serverless for production?
I haven't heard anything.
Bombers. Yeah, all resources and data will be deleted when the preview ends. So let this be a warning that if you are using it and didn't know about that, heads up, because you might have a rude awakening. And that's why we're all really curious about when the serverless will come out of that preview.
Yeah, that's the makings for a bad Monday.
Yeah. Very bad. And it happens so easily, right?
Hopefully they don't release it at 5 p.m. on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Next question we had.
I saw just a really quick announcement. I saw that DynamoDB is now 10 years old. I thought that was pretty interesting.
10 years is an eternity.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, it hit me when I saw that. I was like, really? So they did like a happy birthday DynamoDB thing.
Are you a big proponent of Dynamo?
I personally am in certain circumstances, but it's not a solution for everything, for sure. I've used it pretty extensively in past lives and had really good experiences for things that a NoSQL database are a good fit for, which isn't clearly everything in the world, which some people try to bend it to do things that it wasn't designed to do, and that's usually where the problems arise.
That sounds like just about any tech.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be overly profound, but yeah.
Yeah, I
Sounded
worked
pretty
for a
profound to me, man. So,
Yeah, I had a former company that tried to use Octopus as a configuration tool. When if you actually went to Octopus's website, they said it's not a configuration tool. It was
dude, I still have
.NET.
1,000-line makefiles in production and stuff. So like, I've got nothing to say to anything. So
That call out to build harness with another 1,000 lines.
right.
All right. Next, somebody else's question here. Also, GitLab's related, attempting to use eksctl with GitLab pipelines. Currently, I'm using alpine Kate's image. Oopsie. But I'm running into the following error. This is probably too technical to address on the call today. Yeah, I think it's misconfiguration we can't address on the call.
Region's not set. That's the problem. STS, that should be the region. STS.region.
Oh, it says none
yes.
here. Good catch.
Yeah, that's a good catch. Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't look
Wow.
right.
Yeah, that's a very good catch. So region's not set. Whatever language you're in, it has null defaulted to none when it's cast to string, and that's what's happening. Let's see what the answer is here. Yeah, someone else caught that. Mr. Managed Chaos himself. All right.
That's Python that does that, by the way. But just
Yep.
The none.
yeah.
And Trusted Advisor supports an organizational view. Does anyone know if that's supported via the CLI? Asks Bart. I don't know about that. All right. So let's see in the chat, any questions? Clept, the Kubernetes cube secret stealer. Yes, that would be a good one. Another demonstration of Kubernetes exfiltration and vulnerabilities. There was another Hashi. There was a bunch of Hashi Talk 2022 recordings released recently. Zach's pointing out. All right, let's check the office hours Slack. Granted.dev. What is granted about? Sharif?
Yeah, I just found it, so I haven't checked it yet. Like, it's like it manages your AWS configuration.
Looks like
I
it's
use
a
AWS
browser.
Vault. Yeah, like I use AWS Vault with the Alfred plugin, the Mac Alfred plugin to open open different AWS account and different Chrome profiles. But it seems like it does the same thing, but for different browsers.
Yeah, I see the screenshot here.
If you run assume, it reads your AWS config, gives you a list of all your profiles, and lets you select which one you want to assume. That's it.
Is it letting you run access multiple accounts at the same time in the browser? Because the problem I run into with that usually is that they're using cookies. So if I log into open up a tab in another account,
it opens it in a different Chrome profile. Like a different Chrome profile has so every profile has its own cookies. So they are not shared.
Oh, okay. I see what it's saying. Okay, that makes sense.
It's very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, because typically the only way if I've got to compare between two different accounts, I'll use the main Chrome account and then I'll use an incognito browser, just because I have the separate cookies. Okay.
with AWS Vault, I use it with AWS SSO too, because I have many accounts, so it makes it I have 5 accounts open at the same time without having to authenticate. Because when you're using incognito, you will have to and you are using SSO, you'll log in through, and I have 2-factor authentication, so the login process itself is long. So if I have many accounts, it will not be very helpful. So this one makes it much faster.
Out of curiosity, Sharif, have you also tried Leapp, just for comparison?
No.
Okay. Also worth checking out. Any other announcements, cool tools? We're out of material for today. So just questions.
Just for follow-up to what you just said, though, I don't think Leapp does anything with opening browser sessions, right? It just is managing your actual AWS.
It doesn't do that yet, or it didn't used to. I don't know if it does
it's just
now.
doing it's just managing your AWS credentials file.
Yeah.
Which is fine when you're using stuff like Lens to shift between your accounts, because you can just shift context.
All right. Any other cool tools?
I will. I can never remember the name of this thing, but I use it all day, every day. Oh, here it is. I'll DM you. I was going to say, for people who need to switch roles, it's called the aws-extend-switch-roles. It's a plugin for Chrome, and it works really, really well I did it in Cloud Posse. I DM'd you instead of sweetops. Sorry. But that actually helps you switch roles in the console very easily.
Yeah, this is, I think at least more than half the team is probably using this now after you turned us onto it.
Yeah, it's by far one of my highest rated tools that I use every day.
Yeah, Jim Connor gives his thumbs up for that too.
Yeah, about tools like that we use, but like forget that we're using. Like I use tons of automation for Alfred for Mac. That whenever I use any person's Mac, I feel like I am setting like I don't have most of my tools. Like I feel like I'm paralyzed. Like I can't do anything. Like Alfred is very, very worth the money you pay for, and it's awesome. Like, but there is like workflows for everything, and it's open source workflows. So like, give it a try. It's much faster than Spotlight.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I guess I'm not
Yeah,
as much of a
just
power
needs
user
time
anymore
to
as I
set
used
up.
to
Like
be.
you will
Yeah.
have to give it some time to set it up and like configure your workflows. Like, but once you have it set up, you will forget that you're running it, and
Can
it
you
is.
describe though some of your own personal use cases? I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
to
Okay.
understand.
So there is this Jira workflow. We all use Jira, unfortunately. And the workflow will like search all the open issues, and it downloads like a local version of all the issues locally. So the search is super fast. I'm sadly joining from my phone right now. I could have shared my screen and
so you
showed
can
you.
you can even connect Alfred to index your Jira instance. So from the Mac, you can search for Jiras just as easily as though you would with Spotlight, but through the Alfred app. Okay,
Exactly. So I
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I customized the query so it will like put the issues I am assigned and mentioned and mentioned on the first on the cached issues. So it for me it's very fast to look up issues and stuff. Like
I like that. I think
Yeah.
Carrie on the call would love that even more. Carrie, are you going to switch to the Mac yet?
Whenever
I know.
it's very funny
I need
when
to get that done.
Yeah, whenever I share my screen with any of our product managers or like they are crazy about it. Like when they see it, like like
Really?
also I have
it's kind of like me. I use the Oh My Z shell for my terminal on my Mac, so I've got all those aliases. And when somebody's watching my screen share on a meeting, and I'm issuing the simplified alias commands, and they're like, "Well, what's that actually doing?" I'm like, "Oh, let me go back and look."
Yeah.
How else are you going to look like a wizard?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually wrote my own plugin for it that uses SOPs to grab my HashiCorp Vault tokens out of and authenticate me.
That's super cool. You and I should chat. I know that SOPs will support Vault for some of that stuff via the transit engine. So
yeah, because I've got like 6 or 8 different Vault instances that I have to switch between.
Yeah. Another one for Alfred, I think you'll like it, the AWS plugin for Alfred. Like it also caches your AWS resources, so you can like you do with the Spotlight, but search for like EC2 instances or S3 buckets. So
that is cool. So it really becomes like a personalized search engine for your life and workflows. Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna take another look at it. I have a subscription somewhere.
So I can give you one that I use Alfred for, Eric. I tie Alfred and Stream Deck together, so I have like little buttons that I can just press and it kicks off. So I have one that that goes to our GitHub and finds the latest version of Context TF, downloads it and copies it to my clipboard, and then I basically just hit this button and then it's in my clipboard and I can just paste the latest version anywhere that I'm working on. So,
oh, what a Rube Goldberg apparatus, but that's cool. So you're stringing together Stream Deck with Alfred, with GitHub to fill your copy buffer with content from a mixin. Nice.
Yeah, I also do the same thing with like the latest version of TerraTest. Like if I always want to know what the latest version is, I just hit this button and it's in my it's inside my paste buffer. So then when I like when I update the reference in one of the tests that I'm writing, I can just say like
Yeah.
import and I paste it and it gives me the latest version. And then that way I'm always on, the latest and greatest without, opening up a web browser and browsing and clicking 4 times, which I feel like I did so many times, I just automated it. So
Yeah.
It's almost like running I run the speed test from against my network just from a Stream Deck button.
So Sharif, do you have the Stream Deck yet?
No. But
All right,
actually,
now
I
you know how
have
to
another
update your
tool.
game.
Yeah, I have another tool like that also like that I forget that is running. It is
Nice.
a baseboard. What is it called? A baseboard manager?
Oh, is that the
Yeah.
XL there, Matt?
Mackie. It's called
yeah,
Mackie.
32 buttons. Sorry.
Sorry, there were two
Okay,
parallel
Two
threads going on there.
conversations. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Sharif, you were saying something there.
Yeah, there is a tool called Mackie. It is a a baseboard manager that like I almost forget that it is a third party tool.
Mackie?
But like yeah, double
How do
C,
you?
double
Okay.
C and Y. Yeah.
Mackie. Clipboard manager.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
is
cool.
very fast. Like I can't live without it too. So
Oh, it's like bash history for your clipboard.
yes.
Yeah, I use that too. It's really cool.
That's cool. I'm gonna share that one.
Yeah, I use another one that I use because my work gives me a Mac, and I hate how short they have the timeout set up for the screensaver, so I use Owly.
Which one?
Owly, OWLY. It basically prevents you just keeps your screen from going to sleep.
Yeah, I was
So
using something called Caffeinated back in the day.
Yeah, I use Caffeinated as well.
I want to point out that the last 2 tools that people have recommended are both security things to worry about. Like
yeah, no, now there was actually a case where I actually had you want your screen to lock, and if you have it on, it's a security
eventually.
issue. But the situation that I had was that we were having to run a smoke test, and the application wanted to use your full screen because it was all basically mouse movement capturing. And if your screen went to sleep while the job was running, the whole job would cancel out. So I'm like, I spent hours trying to get that smoke test to run, but my screensaver kept kicking in. So I popped Owly on and set it to run to let it run for like 4 hours, and then after 4 hours, it shut itself down.
Yeah. I've seen other nice things.
Running it all the time.
I've also seen, I forget the app now, but you can connect it with your Apple Watch, for example, or I think maybe it's even supported now natively with the Macs, but you walk away, and when your watch is out of proximity, it auto locks the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And auto unlocks.
Windows can do that. Yeah, Windows can do that as well with your phone if you've got it paired. When your phone leaves proximity of the Bluetooth reach, it will automatically lock your screen.
Does it have to be a Windows phone?
No, it could be an Android phone. You just have to have it paired with your account and using Bluetooth.
Those don't exist anymore, do they? Those Windows phones, like
they lost popularity like the Zunes.
Yeah. Windows CE, right? That was the operating system. I couldn't think of the name of it in my head for a second.
Yeah. Did anybody actually trust their phone to run on Windows? Last thing you wanted to have was your in the middle of a business call and your phone blue screen.
Yeah, I never got that far. Any other cool tools? I'm digging this. The Alfred tips and workflows. Very nice. Or maybe more Stream Deck hacks.
I mean, if you think of Stream Deck as just like a button that can trigger almost anything like that you can talk to via an API or via anything. I mean, you can do unlimited things with Stream Deck.
Yeah, but it's like,
Oh, yeah,
there are unlimited things to do, but like actual use cases that have solved problems in your life, I think that's one of the harder things sometimes.
So I'll tell you the one, I think I shared this with you. I'll tell everyone this one that I use. I have Hue lights on my in my home, and outside my door, my office door, I have a can light that is there that as soon as actually I use this Alfred, it's Alfred and Stream Deck too. As soon as I get on a Zoom call, it automatically switches me to a mode where it then kicks off something on Stream Deck that turns the light red, so my kids know not to walk into my room because I'm on a Zoom call. And then when I get off the Zoom call, it turns it back to the normal color, and then
that's
and then
cool.
they can walk in. So yeah, so
That is
there's a
super cool.
there's a
Yeah.
it's-
On air.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like basically an on-air light, and then I can control it. I can control it if I just want like heads down time. I can actually press it on the Stream Deck and it turns that red light on too. So
That's cool.
So
That's actually-
not Stream Deck sales after today.
What's your
Yeah,
affiliate
another-
code, Matt?
If anyone's buying it, yeah, I was about to say, if anyone's buying one, my affiliate code is blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't even know if there is one. I was just kidding.
Yeah, another thing that you can do with the stream, because the Stream Deck, you can actually have the multifunction button that does multiple things. So like you can open up the app, have it actually size and place it on your window the appropriate way, and you can open up a bunch of different apps. I do that when I'm getting ready to go on a stream. I can just hit one button, it can open up all the apps that I need and resize them and place them on the window exactly where I want them.
Yeah, and even though there's 32 physical buttons, you can or you can get them in
Folders.
different sizes. You can actually, or you can basically just like, you can have pages, so you can like
Yeah.
swap through, or when you're in a certain app, you can have a completely different set of buttons like show on the screen and a bunch of other things. So it works like really well.
Yeah,
That was gonna be-
I've got the 15 button one model myself.
Yeah, and that was going to be my suggestion, that if you get in the Stream Deck, or if you think you might get a lot of use out of Stream Deck, to get the big one. So you've got like all of the, like the page access, you got a bigger page to work with, because I use the same, I guess, mode where an app comes up, Zoom comes up and I get the Zoom screen, or if I'm in a browser, I get the browser screen. And then but I'm dedicating a button specifically to switch pages. So I lose, one button out of all my pages. But if I had a bigger palette, canvas, I guess is a better term, then, I'd have more access. But you also got to dedicate desk space to this thing too. So that's why I got the small one, because I'd rather have a
Same.
smaller footprint on my desk.
Same. And the nice thing is you can change the screensaver on it so that you can have your own logo for the background when your screen blocks.
Nice. Is it just connected via USB to your?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it talks over USB. And then you just run the app in your sys tray.
Very cool. All right. Well, any last questions? Announcements, tools?
What is the
Yeah,
average speed of a coconut laden?
yeah, I'm trying to get how do you pronounce it? Goofsy, whatever.
Oh, Goofies.
Goofsies. Okay.
Yeah.
To work. I finally figured out how to put my credentials inside, so I wasn't trying to access with unsigned or self-signed credentials. But now running on the, I did that with Docker build, and now when I run, it says error unable to access my bucket, permission denied. And I'm giving it the AWS access key and the AWS secret key that I use, with the AWS CLI, which works. So just wondering.
Maybe the region is, maybe you need to get the default region specified correctly as well.
I think
With a
that's
bucket?
the Docker file.
Okay. Yeah. Have you seen the, now we aren't using this daily anymore or regularly anymore. I haven't touched it probably for a couple of years, but we have some documentation around goofies on Cloud Posse, I think.
Yeah, I've looked at that.
Okay. Yeah. And some, let's see, pull requests. Yeah, somebody contributed a Docker compose at one point, which might have some nice examples to look at.
Okay.
And
well, is there, I mean, I guess this may all be OBE. Is there a thought that Swiss will work on in a Lambda function?
Possibly, but I mean, if you're writing original software, such as a Lambda, then I would be not using goofies. I'd be adding native support for S3. I think goofies, so for everyone else who's new to this, and just for context, goofies is a pretty rad tool in what it does. There's been others that have implemented similar things, but goofies is probably the most performant, and it's written in Go, and it lets you mount a S3 bucket as a virtual file system, and it handles through Fuse all the interactions with S3 under the hood. Now, we've used this way back in the day before we were really using Kubernetes that much, and before SSM and other things. And we use goofies as a simple way to we'd mount an S3 bucket, write secrets to that bucket, like files, and then we could mount that in, whenever we needed to access those secrets, and we wouldn't have to persist secrets locally. I thought it was a clever hack for when we had it, but there's so many better alternatives to that now. So that's why we don't really use it anymore. And then if you're using it for anything actually serious, like back in the day, we implemented SFTP and we needed to store the files persistently on S3. So we used to, we had a single pod with two containers, one running SFTP, another container running goofies, and then mounting S3, and then they would write to the file system. But like even that today, there's managed SFTP, so we don't need that. So I just don't see that many use cases anymore for goofies.
Well, so I've got existing software that somebody else wrote that that I need to, they're not expecting their data to be in S3 buckets, but I wanted to make it into a Lambda function, which I can do except for the S3 stuff. So
I see.
You think S3FS or?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's an S3FS Fuse like thing out there that's basically a Fuse.
Well, that's what goofies is.
Driver. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm saying there's one that's like, I'll just say it's got like 6,000 stars, and people are actively developing it and doing all that stuff that a lot of people are using like every day. So yeah, it's a little bit like the last update of the one I was talking about is like 7 hours ago or something like that. There, I've seen it work as well. So you might want to look at maybe another opportunity.
That's it. And if for no other reason, just to validate the pattern works, like don't boil the ocean, just trying to get the best solution, just get something up and running and validated.
Right. Yeah. If you, I mean, honestly, on Amazon, you can just like install the EPEL, and then you can just do like yum install S3FS Fuse, and then you just like put it in a config file and it works. Like it's pretty easy.
Okay.
To configure it all.
All right. Good advice. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a quick announcement, but before this one, does anyone use TF Query?
Oh, TF Query. No, it's come up on office hours before, but I don't think we've touched it yet. Was this one of your tools that you were working on?
Yep, I have been working on this one as a side project, and I haven't really updated it for a while now. It has been stable, and I haven't really received a lot of bugs, so it's going well. And one thing that I want to add here is to have support for TF plan. So like my idea is, let's say that someone creates PR, and this PR includes something bad in different ways, maybe a bad configuration for an S3 bucket or an IAM policy that is not really compliant with specific rules or something. So you would be able to use a TF query to query the TF plan that are being happening now, and then build up a pipeline for that. So hopefully in the next weeks should be up and running.
I think what would be really helpful would be to have a larger library probably of use cases and turnkey examples. It's the hardest thing doing anything policy driven or security related like that, is even having an opinion for what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I think that would be a great way to help with the adoption of a tool like this, is some immediate examples.
At least the policies, yeah. There is like I just built up the core and started using it for solving my day-to-day problems, and then I haven't really worked into building like use cases or policies for people to use and adapt quickly.
Matt, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was just curious if you had considered like actually outputting to like JSON and then using a tool like JQ or something to actually do some of the queries. Maybe I'm not thinking deep enough about how much this actually does, but
he has his own query language on top of the state file.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever tried to write any super advanced JQ. That kind of sucks. So
yeah, advanced JQ sucks.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm at a point now where I'm like so used to it that I don't think it sucks that much. But
yeah, I know people think that I'm an expert, and I'm like, oh man, are you mistaken?
Yeah,
JQ is actually really nice. I like JQ. JP is okay too. They do kind of the same thing, but they both they work differently. And this TF query actually looks pretty interesting. And I could definitely find some use cases in our shop for this. So I'm going to take a look at this.
I would much rather write a SQL query than a Rego policy query if I could help it too, because those are kind of weird. So
a Rego policy?
Yeah.
Is that like
Rego?
Like open policy?
Rego.
Yeah,
open policy agent and all that. It's just it's neat. It's really cool, but it's kind of hard to grok and read it depending on how it's done. So
yeah.
I guess the question is like, this competes against like, you know, like the other tools in the space of, hey, let's have some sort of DevSecOps step in our Terraform stuff, right?
I don't really look at this as a security thing, as more than it's actually, to me, looks more like a method of being able to extract your architecture from your state file in a normalized way, so you could use that information as metadata for other tooling or other projects you might. That's what we would use it for, I think.
Yeah,
actually, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Interesting.
For Matt's question, like initially, me and my team were using JQ to parse like TF state files and then try to come up with statistics or with the reporting or doing all of that. But it was a real pain to really maintain that and to systematically apply it like on a monthly basis or whenever we use it. So I thought that was like, hey, let's try to do it in a different way and maybe import all of the workspaces using a bit of a more elegant way, and then try to apply a SQL query to say select all IAM users that from all of the workspaces, and then I don't know, bring up all of the keys from or all of the S3 buckets from where the workstation is, oh, I mean, the workspace is XYZ, and then look up something about it.
I don't know
Does
why
it
my head just
support
went here,
anything
but I feel
other
like
than-
someone's gonna eventually create like a GraphQL front end to Terraform state files? Or
That's pretty cool. Think about it when you're saying it.
That's my idea.
was it? No,
Actually, if you could, if you had this, you could actually just run TF query in the resolver of the GraphQL and then get that out pretty easily. That would be a
There
pretty
you go.
easy way to do that.
There you go. You invented something, Eric. You should copyright it.
The product
Yeah.
today and sell it for 2 million tomorrow. Like next week.
Does it support anything other than select statements out of curiosity? Can you do like, updates?
Oh no, it's
Okay.
The safest way to do things, man, just select. There's no.
Yeah. Please don't try to implement other SQL verbs.
No outer and inner joins, please.
Joins are okay. I just don't want to see inserts, deletes, updates, like none of those.
Drops.
I think you can corrupt the database, like the like intermediate database that you set up with, I don't know, delete all or something. But
Yeah, that was why I was saying don't attempt to do that. Like I think it would
maybe it's not a good
really
idea
bad.
to do it.
Unless under the hood you actually called like TF state like commands to do it itself. Like that would be interesting. Like
It's,
Terraform,
using-
like state, under the hood. Yeah.
No, this is using native like Python.
Yeah,
like
just to
interface.
download the JSON and then do all the stuff for it. I get it.
You provide the JSON and then or the directory of JSON files, and then you say import like on this one, like TF query import. This one exactly. And then you import everything, and then you can apply like any query that you like, or you can even do it like on the fly. You can if it's not
Behind the scenes are using like SQLite or something, or
Didn't sound, I mean, they're already using the TF query against the state database, so I don't see why you would need SQLite unless you're talking about the query language.
well, because there's an
itself.
import step here. So I was just wondering what that import is doing.
That's a good question.
And I think we lost Majin maybe, as he stares intently into the camera. While we have a moment here, Tim Gurley was asking about a link to that JQ alternative.
It's the JMES path. If you do a search in GitHub for JMESPATH, JP is the command line for that. It's the same query language that AWS uses for its query on AWS API assets.
Okay. Oh, so that's what that is.
Yeah, it's the Linux command line, or the command line tool that can front that library. I actually got to be honest with you, I'm not very fond of this this query language. I think it lacks, but then JQ has places where it lacks as well. But this one I find it lacks a little bit more in some places. So I tend to favor JQ over JP. But if you want some sort of command line tool that is exactly the same query language is what you would use for, say, a -- query against AWS API, then this would be the one you want to use.
That's cool. Well, I didn't know about that, so that's helpful, especially if one's trying to reduce the number of query languages for some scripting or tooling. Makes sense, maybe in that use case for this. Well, we're at the end of the hour here. Thanks everyone for picking up the slack, sharing lots of cool, interesting tools, learn new use cases for Alfred there and Stream Deck. So feel some FOMO about all of that. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, head over to youtube.com/cloudposse. Again, youtube.com/cloudposse. We're going to post today's episode there, as well as you'll find our entire back catalog of past office hour sessions. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Head over to linkedin.com/in/Osterman. love to connect with all of our community. Just a note though, if you do connect, it helps if you say that you're part of the community, because I get a lot of recruiter spam and a lot of other things. So it's hard sometimes distinguishing friend from foe. Do sign up for our Slack team. That's where we post all of the questions for our office hours. Head over to slack.cloudposse.com. See y'all next week, same time, same place. Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you.